What if I told you that the things that once made our homes feel alive have almost completely vanished? From rotary phones to VHS tapes and VCRs, from sticky photo albums to the milled door, entire pieces of our childhoods have quietly disappeared without us even noticing. And yet, when you see them again, something deep inside you stirs. That rush of nostalgia. That's your brain saying, "Hey, I remember this." But here's the twist. Maybe we didn't really move forward as much as we think. Sure, technology gave us smartphones, streaming, and AI assistants, but it also stole something from us. Rituals, connections, and those tiny moments that made life feel slower, warmer, and more human. So today, we're diving into 10 nostalgic home items that shaped our lives, disappeared without a goodbye, and still hold the power to transport us back in time. The question is, how many of these do you actually remember? Rotary phones. Back in the day, rotary phones weren't just a gadget. They were the heart of the home. Families would gather around one single phone, usually sitting in the hallway, and wait their turn to make a call. And oh boy, the click-click-click sound of the dial spinning back still echoes in people's memories today. It wasn't fast, but it felt intentional, almost like conversations mattered more back then. But here's the funny part. If you messed up a single digit, you had to start all over again. No delete button, no backspace. Just frustration and patience training combined into one device. Kids today might complain about a slow Wi-Fi connection, but imagine dialing 7 numbers and then, whoops, you hit the wrong one. That's when you'd hear a collective "oh no" from across the room. And yet, rotary phones had a charm we've lost. They forced us to pause, to wait, to listen to the clicking rhythm like a metronome for human connection. These days, we're addicted to instant messaging, voice notes, and AI assistants. But those long pauses back then, they built anticipation. And maybe, just maybe, that slower pace connects surprisingly well to another nostalgic gem that came right after this era. VHS tapes and VCRs. Before Netflix and streaming binges, VHS tapes and VCRs ruled Friday nights. Families would head to the video rental store, carefully pick out a couple of movies, and race home to pop them into the VCR. That little whirring sound as the tape slid in? Pure magic. And don't even get me started on the smell of a blockbuster on a Saturday night. Pure nostalgia trapped in fluorescent lights and plastic cases. But here's the thing. If you didn't rewind the tape before returning it, you were in trouble. Rental stores had fines waiting, and you could practically feel the cashier's silent judgment. Some people even bought separate rewinders, just to avoid wearing out the VCR. It was a whole ritual: watch, rewind, return, like a sacred movie-watching code of honor. And yet, there was something special about holding a physical tape, feeling the weight of entertainment in your hands. Today, with endless streaming options, we scroll endlessly but rarely savor the moment. Back then, we valued every second because every movie night felt earned. And speaking of collections, some living rooms became full-on shrines for entertainment. Wait until you hear about what people proudly displayed next. CD and DVD towers. There was a time when CD and DVD towers were a statement piece in every living room. If you had one, you weren't just storing music and movies. You were showing off your personality. Each shelf proudly displayed your favorite bands, your go-to rom-coms, and maybe even that one special edition DVD you never actually watched, but kept because it looked cool. Friends would come over, scan your collection, and immediately judge your taste in music. And let's be honest, organizing these towers was an event. Some people went alphabetically, others by genre, and a few just stacked everything in pure chaos. That one missing CD case, it usually ended up under the couch or inside the wrong DVD box. We've all been there. And don't forget the heartbreak of finding your favorite CD scratched beyond repair. A tiny skip in track 7 could ruin an entire car sing-along. But CD and DVD towers weren't just about entertainment. They were time capsules. You could literally see your life in stages, from the first boy band CD to your entire Harry Potter collection lined up in order. These days, Spotify and Netflix replaced the shelves with endless scrolling. But back then, your tower told your story. 3-in-1 mini stereo systems. Back in the day, if you had one of those 3-in-1 mini stereo systems, you were basically the resident DJ of the neighborhood. These machines had it all: cassette decks, a CD player, AM/FM radio, and those hypnotic LED equalizer bars that bounced with every beat. You'd crank up the volume, dim the lights, and suddenly your living room turned into a mini dance floor. Sleepovers, birthdays, random Tuesday nights. Everything was a party when the stereo came on. And oh, the mixtapes. People spent hours recording songs off the radio, finger hovering over the record button, praying the DJ wouldn't talk over the intro. Making the perfect playlist for a crush? That was an art form. You didn't just send someone a link. You handed them a physical tape with handwritten track names and maybe a little doodle on the cover. That mixtape wasn't just music, it was a confession. But here's the kicker. Those 3-in-1 mini stereo systems were more than sound machines. They were status symbols. The bigger the speakers, the cooler you were. Fast forward to today, and Bluetooth speakers have taken over. But they'll never recreate the vibe of lying on the floor, rewinding a cassette with a pencil, and blasting your favorite track. Bedside clock radios. There was a time when bedside clock radios were the ultimate morning dictators. You'd set the alarm at night, but somehow, when it went off, it always felt like the universe was plotting against you. That loud beep 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 could yank you straight out of your dreams and into reality. No mercy given. And if you were lucky, you had the kind with a built-in FM radio. So instead of beeps, you could wake up to your favorite song, or worse, static. The glow of those bright red or green digital numbers at 3 a.m. is burned into everyone's memory. You'd wake up half asleep, squinting at the clock, calculating how many precious minutes of sleep were left. And let's be honest, hitting the snooze button was practically a sport. Some people mastered the blind slap, hand flying over, eyes still shut, hoping to buy 9 more glorious minutes of rest. But bedside clock radios weren't just alarms. They were part of a ritual. Falling asleep to soft music, waking up to morning talk shows, and sometimes setting them way too early, just so you could enjoy hitting snooze twice. These little machines ruled our mornings for decades. And yet, as smartphones took over, they slowly disappeared from our nightstands. Giant tube TVs. Remember those massive giant tube TVs that doubled as furniture? If you've ever tried to move one, you probably still have back pain today. These beasts had curved glass screens, wooden frames, and buttons that made a satisfying clunk when you changed the channel. And let's not forget the classic no-signal static. It was practically the soundtrack of childhood whenever the antenna wasn't cooperating. What made these TVs special wasn't just their size. It was the entire experience around them. Families would gather in the living room, fighting over who got to hold the remote. Or worse, being the designated human remote. Walking up to the TV to turn the dial manually. Saturday morning cartoons, Sunday night movies, and that heart-pounding moment when you accidentally bumped the antenna mid-episode, pure drama. And while today's flat screens are sleek and smart, giant tube TVs had a kind of personality modern TVs lack. They hummed softly, they glowed warmly, and they forced you to stay put. No multitasking on a second screen. Rabbit ear antennas. Ah, the legendary rabbit ear antennas, the ultimate test of patience and creativity. Back then, getting a decent TV signal felt like a mix of science, luck, and dark magic. 1 minute you'd have a crystal clear picture, and the next, nothing but snow and static. And of course, someone always shouted the classic line, "Don't move. It's working." So there you were, frozen in the most uncomfortable position, holding the antenna like a human satellite dish. People became homegrown engineers overnight, experimenting with aluminum foil, twisting wires, and balancing the antennas at impossible angles. Some swore by leaving them tilted just right, while others invented weird tricks like taping them to the wall for better reception. And if none of that worked, You'd simply send the youngest sibling to stand next to the TV because, for reasons nobody understood, their presence somehow made the signal magically improve. The thing is, those rabbit ear antennas taught us problem solving, teamwork, and a whole lot of patience. Today, everything streams instantly in 4K without effort, but back then, we earned every second of our cartoons and sitcoms. And yet, while we were busy adjusting antennas, there was another essential household item that kept us connected. One that served as our Google before Google even existed. The Yellow Pages. Before smartphones and search engines, the Yellow Pages were our ultimate source of knowledge. Need a plumber? Open the book. Looking for a pizza place? Flip a few pages. That massive directory sat proudly in nearly every home, often next to the landline, like a trusted friend ready to solve any problem. And let's be honest, finding a number in those thin, endless pages felt like unlocking a secret code. But the Yellow Pages were more than just a phone directory. They were a snapshot of life back then. The ads were full of personality, from bold fonts to catchy slogans, and some even had little coupons you could cut out and save. Parents would teach kids how to look things up. And honestly, it was like our first training in research skills. There was something oddly satisfying about highlighting numbers with a pen and bookmarking your favorite pizza spot with a Post-it. And yet, Google, apps, and voice assistants came along and made it all obsolete in a blink. Today, we can find anything instantly. But there was a charm in flipping those pages and discovering local businesses you didn't even know existed. Sticky photo albums. There was something truly magical about sticky photo albums. Opening one felt like opening a time capsule. The plastic cover would peel back with that soft cry-up, revealing pictures from birthdays, vacations, and family gatherings frozen in time. You could smell that faint gluey scent mixed with decades of memories, and instantly, you were transported back to simpler days when moments weren't just captured, they were treasured. Unlike today, where thousands of photos live in the cloud, sticky photo albums made every picture special. You had to choose carefully which moments deserved a spot, because space was limited. Some pages even had little handwritten notes, doodles, or stickers, tiny details that turned each album into a personal storybook. Flipping through one wasn't just about looking at pictures. It was about reliving emotions. And here's the thing. No amount of scrolling through Instagram will ever replace the feeling of holding those albums in your hands. They were tangible proof of who we were and where we came from. But as our memories became digital, some little pieces of everyday magic disappeared with them. The milk door. Back in the day, the milk door felt like a little slice of magic built right into your house. It was this tiny, secret door where the milkman would drop off fresh glass bottles every morning without ever stepping inside. For kids, it was almost mystical, waking up, opening that door, and finding cold, frosty bottles waiting like a daily treasure hunt. It wasn't just convenient, it was part of the rhythm of life. And it wasn't just milk. Sometimes, families used the milk door for bread, eggs, or even small deliveries from local shops. It was early contactless service, decades before apps and QR codes made it mainstream. The whole system relied on trust, routine, and community. Everyone knew their delivery person by name, and those quiet exchanges built connections that went way beyond transactions. Of course, as supermarkets, refrigeration, and modern shopping habits evolved, the milk door quietly disappeared. But for those who grew up with it, the memory never fades. It's a symbol of a slower, simpler time when home felt a little more personal. And now that we've explored all 10 of these nostalgic treasures, it's time to set the stage with a powerful introduction to pull your audience in from the very first second. So, be honest, how many of these nostalgic home items did you actually have? Was it rotary phones? Maybe stacks of VHS tapes and VCRs? Or do you still have one of those sticky photo albums tucked away somewhere? I bet just seeing them in your mind brought back a flood of memories, right? But here's the thing. These items aren't just objects. They're time machines. They remind us of how much life has changed and how much we've lost along the way. And now I want to hear from you. Which one would you bring back if you could? And which one made you go, wow, I totally forgot about that? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading them all. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, smash that like button. Share this video with someone who'll feel the nostalgia too. And of course, subscribe to Behind the Curiosity. And hey, turn on the so you don't miss what's coming next, because trust me, the next one is going to unlock even deeper secrets from the past.